Is there any time that I need to exceed the NESC requirements? Because when I read the NESC, I see the term minimum a lot of times. That these are minimum requirements. Is there a situation when I'm designing a line or out there attaching a new fiber that I need to go above and beyond what's outlined in the NESC?
Absolutely. The NESC is minimum values. We have to meet those to meet safety, but there are other times where we have things that are greater than the NESC, and we have to kind of look at those, maybe get those from another source. I usually remind folks in our classes that uh, these are the minimums, especially when it comes to getting permits, maybe crossing a highway. You may have a public utility commission or state laws that have some other requirements. And the other big one we talk about a lot in those classes is joint use agreements. So I kind of expanded on that here. These are the four kind of categories that those usually fall into. Legal requirements, which would be the Public Utility Commission or state laws. Permits, if you're crossing a railroad, a city, a state highway, county highway. Contracts, joint use agreements is the biggest example of that, or a company standard. Most companies will design new line to something greater than the code when they design new lines. So they meet that code over the long-term future, the life of that line. We've got a lot of farming here in Southeast Washington where I'm at. We designed all of our clearances for new line to 21 feet for the phase and neutral, even though that's 18 and a half and 15 and a half in the code. So I've got a couple examples of some of those. The first one, which is the legal issues or authorities having jurisdiction. Uh, in Rule 013 in the NESC, that's the application, tells us we have to use the NESC for all new lines and new equipment that we put out there. Uh, but it does have some wording in there that said it applies except as waived or modified by the administrative authority. So one example I have over on the right there, this is a law from Oregon. The NESC tells us we have to trim any trees that might come into contact with the lines. It doesn't give us any numbers. It doesn't say a clearance of 10 feet or 5 feet. So the Oregon, in their state law, they've added that on. So Oregon utilities, 10 feet if it's above 200 kV, 5 feet for conductors between 600 and 50,000 volts. So they have a additional requirement above and beyond that. The other thing here is the public utility commissions. They're the authority having jurisdiction. So they may, depending on your state law, but in a lot of states, they have the authority to maybe give an interpretation of the NESC that is a little different than other states have. Um, the we had a little bit of line in Oregon, worked with the Public Utility Commission there. They asked us to do some things, and I pointed to them in the code why that wasn't required. And they said, well, as you would know, we are the administrative authority and we do require that. This is how we interpret that. So
Yep.
they kind of got me on that one. The second one is any permits. So, the examples I've got there, railroads, uh, state highway crossings, county road crossings, those are really common. Uh, then any maybe public entities, federal entities, BLM, Forest Service. We've got a lot of Corps of Engineer properties along the rivers because of all the dams here. And so they've got their own requirements. And this example comes from Washington State. 15 and a half feet that we have to have as clearance for a communication line. Washington State, to get a permit, you need 24 feet for a communication line or 20 if it's on a joint use pole. Same thing, our phase wire, 18 and a half feet in the code, but up to 35 feet for our 24.9 kV lines that we had. So permits is the second one that I had on there. And then the last one is joint use agreements. And these come from two different utilities, joint use agreements and some of the drawings that they have. The one on the left, if you're going to attach on their pole, the joint use agreement, it's a contract between the pole owner and the person attaching, the utility attaching. So they've agreed to 18 feet as their minimum clearance for communication instead of 15 and a half. This is also a good example of that company standard. The phase up above, 22 feet, they're designing for 22 feet for their own wires, even though it's 18 and a half in the code. The other one that we see on the right is from another utility, another joint use agreement. They have a maximum attachment height on a 45-foot pole of 23 feet 6 inches. So they're reserving 15 feet at the top of the pole. They might come along add a new service, a transformer bank. They need that room for that service, so they've got that in the contract. That's agreed to between the utilities attaching and between the pole owner there.